All right, I'm just going to say this out loud because pretending otherwise is exhausting. This channel's in the weird phase where it could either turn into something really solid or become one of those things that eventually I just look back on and, oh yeah, I remember when I thought that was going to work out. And that thought's been kind of living rent free in my head lately because on paper, I'd like to think I'm doing everything the way you're supposed to do it. I'm posting, I think I'm improving. I actually enjoy it more than I thought I was going to, but the results haven't necessarily gotten the memo yet, and that's fine. I'm only a few weeks into this, but I love whispering my thoughts to the internet. That's the part nobody really talks about, the stretch where you're not failing, but you're also not necessarily winning, and you start wondering if you're being patient or just stubborn. You know, you can go on YouTube and there's a million videos about how to get started. And then there's all the guys that are and girls that are the experts. And if I had to do it again, but no one really talks about the middle part or the early part. So instead of pretending I've got this all figured out, I just kind of want to talk about that phase, the quiet one. Because if you're trying to build anything right now, there's a good chance you're in it too. And fair warning, this is not a hype video. It's more like a, hey, what the heck are you actually doing here kind of conversation. Because here's what actually happens in this phase. You sit down to do the thing, record the video, write that page, go to the gym, work on the idea you've had, and your brain doesn't panic. It starts to negotiate, usually very politely. It starts to ask questions like, is this actually worth doing today? Wouldn't tomorrow be better anyways, or Monday? Which I find interesting because that voice is completely silent when I'm about to doom scroll for an hour and a half or reorganize something that doesn't need to be reorganized. But the second I'm about to do something that might actually move the needle a little, oh, now it has opinions. And if you've ever tried to build anything, a channel, a habit, a career change, a creative outlet, or just life in general, you know the voice because it never says quit, not out loud. It says, let's just chill for a minute. And somehow that's way more dangerous, I think, because quitting loudly hurts your pride, but fading out quietly kind of feels responsible and maybe a little mature. It feels like you're at least being realistic, when really you're just letting fear put on business casual and pretend that it's logic. And that's where most people disappear, not with a dramatic exit, not with some big fancy announcement, just fewer reps. Less attempts, until one day they don't even remember when they stopped. And what's messed up is this phase doesn't even look like failure. You're not failing. You're actually doing a lot right, more than likely. You're improving, you're learning, you're showing up. You're just not being rewarded yet. And the feedback from the universe is aggressively neutral. You post something you're genuinely proud of, and YouTube's like, yeah, man, we saw, it's fine. Cool. Awesome. I love that for me. And then you start checking the analytics like it's a slot machine, like maybe it's going to pop up and go, sorry, that was a glitch on our end. You're actually famous now. And nothing changes. That's when your brain starts auditing your entire life at like 10:30 at night. Is this actually good? Do people even want this? Am I just talking to the same 7 people? Am I embarrassing myself? Is my thumbnail trash? Is my pacing off? Does YouTube personally hate me for something I did back in 2014? Nothing builds confidence quite like that. And that comparison sneaks in, which hits way harder when you're actually trying, because it's one thing to compare when you're doing nothing, but it's a whole different experience when you are putting in the work and your phone casually serves you a video like, this guy posted his first video last week and now he's making $80,000 a month. Cool. That's awesome. Glad I saw that right now. And look, I'm not mad at those people. I'm not necessarily jealous, and I'm definitely not trying to hate. A lot of them are genuinely trying to help. Some of the tactics that you hear from other people is actually good. But what they never mention is context, because it's rarely their first attempt. It's their 8th channel or their 10th, or they already had an audience from another platform, or they got promoted by somebody massive, or they've been doing this quietly for years and this is the version that you're seeing after it finally clicked for them. Or, and this one cracks me up and I see it way too much, They're filthy rich. Not hating on the rich, but they can have a helicopter and warehouses and a full production crew for their simple content strategy video, which, again, good for them. I'm just not renting a helicopter to talk about mindset. That's not hate, that's just reality. The internet flattens timelines. It shows you success without the years, results, without the reps, confidence, without the context. And then your brain goes, why am I not there yet? Because you're watching somebody else's chapter 12 while you're still in chapter 1. Heck, you're in the preface. And that's not how stories work. Here's the shift that stopped me from spiraling, I guess. This phase is not proof that anything isn't working. It's just proof that I'm early. And early feels a lot like being wrong when it comes to being in public. Early can feel lonely and pointless. It feels like you're yelling into the void and hoping that an echo at least acknowledges you. But literally everything that eventually works starts right here. Nothing meaningful can skip this part. You have to pass through the awkward middle where belief has to survive without evidence, where effort comes before applause. And that's the toll booth most people turn around at. And here's another thing that took me a long time to understand. Not every rep is supposed to work. Not every video is going to pop. Not every attempt is supposed to be rewarded. Some reps exist purely to shape you. And that's brutal in a world where everything is tracked and ranked and compared in real time, because now every attempt feels graded. No graph is for resilience. There's no metric for your conviction. There's no notification when your patience levels up. But those things compound quietly, and when momentum finally does show up, those things are muscles that keep you from blowing it or burning out or self-sabotaging. And the closest real-world example I have for this is golf, of all things. Because golf is an incredible teacher of patience, humility, emotional regulation. It's also a great way to get humbled in front of strangers. When I was young, I played a lot of golf. And I wasn't some polished prodigy with private coaches and custom-fitted clubs, but I kind of was the Happy Gilmore of my junior tour, and not in a built different kind of way. Most of the kids I played were skinny, fit, country club-looking dudes who looked like golfers and probably ate vegetables on purpose. And then there was me, stocky, offensive lineman-looking dude, built like I should have been playing right tackle, showing up with my dad's hand-me-down clubs, probably predated modern science. Yeah, some of my irons were from the early 80s. I didn't look the part, but my one claim to fame, I guess, was I could hit the ball a country mile at a young age, like stupid far. Far enough that adults would stop and go, all right, whose kid is that? And for a while, that covered up a lot of the other problems. I mean, seriously, I never had lessons. I was pretty much self-taught between my dad and reading Golf Digest magazines. I had one lesson that I got for a gift, and the guy sat there smoking cigars, watching me hit driver for a half hour, impressed that I could hit it all the way to the other side of the range. It's just what it was. I played junior golf in Georgia, worked my way up, and at one point I was ranked number 1 in the state for my age group, I think when I was like 14. And then I got invited to play in the Georgia Grand Championship. Big deal at the time. It's the Super Bowl at the end of the season. Naturally, we celebrated. We had a fun time. I think I finished 4th in the tournament. And afterwards, my family decided, let's go to a little family fun center. And I lost to my mother in putt-putt. Dead serious. Number 1 in the state. 4th in the Grand Championship. Could drive the ball into the next zip code. Could not putt to save my life. Very humbling, and I'm still not over it. I was Happy Gilmore. Crushed the ball, zero finesse, absolute chaos on the greens. And here's why that matters. Not every practice shot made me better. Most of them didn't. But the years of grinding on the range, trying new grips, new stances, new feels, missing constantly, coming back anyway. That's what changed my baseline. Not one perfect session, just repetition. Enough reps that my average moved. And once your average moves, results will follow, whether you're thinking about them or not. And that's why I don't panic about individual videos or a single piece of content that I put out. It's why I don't overreact to one bad rep. because I've lived the long game before. And here's another thing nobody warns you about. Your taste develops faster than your ability. You know what good looks like long before you can consistently make it. The gap can motivate you, or it'll paralyze you. Most people assume it means they're not cut out for this. It doesn't. It means your standards are ahead of your skill. And clarity usually comes after action, not before it. You don't find your voice by thinking, you find it by using it. And that's exactly what happened for my writing. For years, I told myself I wanted to write, like actual author, write books, fiction, sci-fi, mysteries, nonfiction, self-help for real people, maybe even some photography stuff. And instead of writing, I thought about writing, which is my brain's favorite way to feel productive without doing anything. Eventually, I gave myself permission to suck for 10 minutes at a time. No plan, no pressure, and it snowballed. Literally, I started in my car, talk to text, where I could just dictate thoughts I have about a book and get it out. Now I've written 2 books. I'm actively working on 3 other ones. I don't know if they'll sell, but they exist. They're real. And they wouldn't have if I waited to feel ready, because I still don't feel ready. I still question myself. I'm not some famous author. I'm not a clinical psychologist or psychiatrist. I'm not official diagnosing people with anxiety and no, I'm just a guy who's lived some life who thinks he has halfway decent ideas that can help people. That's at least my goal. So here's the challenge. Pick one thing that you've been avoiding. Not the biggest thing, not some massive life goal, just one small annoying thing. And do 10 minutes of it. Like set a timer and start. Stop when it goes off. Then write one sentence or ask yourself, what would happen if I did this for 10 minutes a day for a month? And tell one person what you're working on, not for validation, just to make it real. I remember I told my wife, hey, I'm writing a book. She kind of rolled her eyes like, what? Because you have time for that? But that's it. That's the service. Most people quit here. I didn't. And if you're watching this, maybe you won't either. Especially now, because you know what to do next. Just move forward.